welcome to the Rural Roots Canada podcast. I'm your host, Tim Parent, along with Craig Lester. And Craig, you had a nice week out in British Columbia, and you're back now in town. Maybe just let everybody know where you went and just what you got to see agricultural-wise out in BC.
Absolutely. So I actually, long story short, went back to my old stomping grounds where I got my start in the broadcast industry, Smithers, British Columbia. For anybody that's not familiar with where that's located, it's about, I'd say, halfway, maybe a little bit more closer to the coast between Prince George and Prince Rupert. About 4.5 hour or 5 hour drive from Prince George to the west. It's fantastic. Everything's greening up out there, very green pastures. Obviously, we saw a lot of forage, equine, livestock on display as we headed out that way. And it was very interesting to hear stories from a friend I was traveling with, just in regards to the different stories that are going on in the agriculture industry in northern British Columbia.
Awesome. I saw some of your pictures that you had posted on social. I mean, it's a beautiful part of the country. Anywhere pretty much in BC is just stunning. So it's awesome. I'm glad you had a good time and were able to reconnect with some old friends. You also recently had an interview. You spoke to someone about farm-informed counselling, and we've talked about this on the podcast before. We've done stories on ruralrootscanada.com, but we know that farming isn't just a job. It is a way of life, and that comes with a lot of unpredictability. There's a lot of isolation. It can take its toll on mental health, and you've been an advocate for it, Craig. I know I have as well, and certainly Rural Roots Canada has. Let's talk a little bit about this farm-informed counselling and this interview you had.
So yes, I had a chance to talk with Sarah Rosenfeld from the Associate Director of Counselling Alberta, which was just a fascinating interview, just talking about the importance of having farm-informed counseling, which is having counselors that have training and have been brought up to speed in regards to the issues that farmers are feeling and facing every day in their everyday lives and the pressures that they're facing. And so we had a fascinating conversation in regards to the needs of the agriculture industry in regards to mental health and the importance of having counselors that are informed on that topic. So this interview kind of talked a little bit about the program and in regards to the importance of reaching out if someone needs help and to help others if you may see someone that may be in need of help, sort of thing. And one of the factors that may cause them to feel that they need to reach out or have stress in their lives in that regard. So it was just a great opportunity to reach out and chat with Sarah Rosenfeld in regards to this topic. Welcome to the program, Sarah. Thanks so much for taking time to talk to us today.
Oh, thank you for having me on. I'm excited about the conversation.
So, Sarah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, I am an associate director at the Calgary Counselling Centre. And what that means is I work in a number of different areas in the organization, but really the purpose of my role is to make sure that we're providing accessible, responsive, affordable counseling to as many people as possible. We are a very large community mental health organization, and so we're always trying to find lots of different ways to make what we do accessible to more and more people.
So the Calgary Counselling Centre is connected to Counselling Alberta, and tell us about that relationship and how your farm-informed counselling program.
Sure. So yes, they are connected, but actually separate entities. So Counselling Alberta is essentially ensuring that across the province of Alberta, in many different communities, especially remote and rural communities, that there is accessible, affordable, responsive mental health care services. What we know is that when people need a resource, especially in smaller communities, it's often hard to access that, or the resource doesn't exist, or there's pieces around confidentiality. So this resource allows you to access really quickly services at a time when you're wanting to have the service, because you can do it virtually in the comfort of your own home or wherever you feel most comfortable having a counseling session.
You talk a little bit about that farm-informed. How does that differ from, I guess, other counseling services that Calgary Counselling and Counselling Alberta provides?
So what I would say about that is it's a very unique population. The stressors and pressures that people experience on the farm are unique and different from what other pressures would be. your livelihood becomes everything, right? There's very little separation between what you do on the farm and when you come home. Like in some other types of sectors or industries, that might be an easier disconnect to make. But in farming, it's much more difficult. The other unique thing about farming that we know is, right, you have something that's broken, like a tractor, a combine, you can go get tools and fix it. And so mental health is a little bit different, right? Being able to make a transition to understand, like, how do I support myself when I have mental health challenges? When you know that your benefit, what you do, your livelihood, you go and you do this thing and it starts to work again. Mental health's a little bit more of a nuanced type of thing, and there's conditions that lead to people having their well-being taken care of and looked after when there's lots of pressures, especially economic pressures outside of your control, weather pressures outside of your control, which are very unique to the farming community. Those things become a little bit more difficult to manage.
What kind of problems, I guess, or issues, probably a better word, that you hear that farmers are dealing with right now that are really weighing on their mental health? Is there any common trends?
I would say the global pressure right now. That's affecting prices for goods and services, like farming goods and services. That's something that's completely out of a farming person's control. Somebody that's running a farm, that's not something that they can manage, right? That's something that, they're managing, they're checking prices, they're doing all those things, but that's an external pressure. I think it's these external pressures. Again, the weather would be another one of them. If you have, currently in Alberta, we've had a pretty good season, right? We've had lots of snow. That's great for the farming community. But when we don't have those things, that affects your livestock, that affects the yields that you're able to have. That's not something that you have control over. So those are pretty unique to what happens for farmers, I think. And then this round-the-clock type of work that you have. Right? You're looking after livestock, you're looking after crops. Those things don't really have time limits on them. It's not sort of a punch in, punch out thing. If something happens and, you got to be there to look after the livestock and take care of them if they get sick, right? It's a job that doesn't seem to have a beginning and end to it. It's sort of always on your mind.
Great, and I loved how you were bringing up and talked about the connection between and the separation between work and personal life. That there is really, it's blurred, and there is none. And I've been referring to that as kind of attachment to place. Like farmers are literally connected to the work they do. So whether someone's talking about it around them, or it's on the TV, or it's something they're facing every single day, they've got that attachment to place, and obviously that weighs on their mental health. I think I wanted to talk a little bit in regards to as well, just in regards to how, once a farmer gets into counseling, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are skeptical about it, or scared to do it, or just don't want to be seen that they're getting counseling. What kind of change have you seen in individuals that have decided, to take that plunge, to go get help and maybe to see a counselor? What kind of transformation have you seen in terms of their opinion of counseling and the difference it's made in their lives?
It's a really great question. So the first thing I'd want to say is that we actually have farm-informed counselors that have gone actually through specific training so that they're really well-versed in the issues that present with your community. The farming community, like I said, has unique challenges, and it's our role and responsibility as counselors to be informed about the uniqueness, because our job is always to understand, learn, and make sense of the person sitting in front of us. And for farming, that's really important, right? Like we talked about, it's all-encompassing. It's a big part of their identity. There's a lot of pride that goes into that. So our counselors are really well-versed in knowing what those issues and presenting concerns are. What I would say is that's why we want to be responsive. Getting somebody in the door and having somebody understand that there are these pressures, these unique challenges, it's opening up that conversation to start. And what we've seen is I think it really allows people to not carry that burden entirely on their own. They're sharing that with somebody else. They're getting practical strategies about how to manage a little bit differently, even small micro adjustments. Like, if you're on the tractor and you give somebody a call, or you're on your way to work and you think to give somebody a call, that makes you feel less isolated. Those small little incremental changes can actually have a huge impact on people's mental wellness and well-being, even though there are pressures still happening. So what we've seen can be really validating. They start to make these little changes that make a significant difference in their outlook and their mental wellness. And they feel less isolated and less alone, which is really, really key.
So I guess I'll look at from two different perspectives here is either A, someone who's struggling a bit and recognizing the signs, when should they reach out for counseling? And the other one I want is that you're someone who's seeing someone that could be struggling a little bit. How should they approach someone and say, hey, maybe it's a good idea just to have a chat with someone about what they're dealing with?
Well, I think people that have actually done the thing themselves are the best ambassadors. So for all of us in our communities, it's really incumbent upon the people that understand mental health and that professional support is sometimes needed. There's no shame in asking for help. I think it's about normalizing that conversation, providing that as an option or resource to people, but also stepping back and letting people decide when they want to step into that. It's really being able to walk alongside somebody, normalize that experience for them, say, look, I'm happy to talk to you about what I've experienced, or I know this has helped other people that I know. There's no shame in asking for help. And it doesn't mean that you're not managing lots of things well. It just means that sometimes we need a little extra support, a little extra guidance, some strategies, some tools, some techniques. And again, allowing you to have that conversation really can go a long way in creating stronger communities, actually.
One thing that can stop someone from reaching out in regards to getting help is confidentiality, and especially with and on top of that, farming convenience. Can you tell us a little bit about your guys' services and how you cater to that?
Absolutely. So I think that's what is so beautiful about being able to access resources virtually. So what we know now from the research, because the center has been doing this since 2022, is that people experience as much benefit or more benefit from in-person as they do virtual services. What the virtual piece allows people to do is do it at a time that's comfortable for them, in the convenience and comfort of their own home, or wherever they feel comfortable receiving the services. And nobody actually has to know about it if you don't want to be, it can be as confidential as you want it to be. We use Microsoft Teams, which is a secure, encrypted end-to-end service that nobody else can get into that meeting or have access to that meeting. We've chosen that platform for that very reason, that it assures confidentiality. And, I think the beautiful thing about it is it's at a time, in a place, around the people that you want to be around when you're having the service, or nobody else needs to be around when you're having the counseling session. So it really gives people a lot of flexibility to choose and to have a lot more control over that piece that you're talking about, Greg, in terms of confidentiality.
If there's things that kind of jumped off the page for people here in our conversation and they want to reach out and have a conversation with someone, how can they do that?
So it's really easy. You can call 833-827-4230 and do a intake through the phone with one of the members of our intake team. You can also contact us online if that's more comfortable for you. You just reach out to contact.intake@counsellingalberta.com. That's contact.intake@counsellingalberta.com. We will take all your information and we will match you with a counselor who will provide accessible, responsive, and affordable services. We have an online way that you can actually just complete an intake form. You do all of that confidentially. If there are any questions, a member of our intake team reaches out to you and gets a little bit more information, because we want to make sure we have all the details that are needed to make sure that we have a good match with a counselor. So that's really about preferences, time of day, whether you're looking for a specific gender. And then we process the intake, and then you get matched with a counselor, and they reach out to you within 24 to 48 hours to say, hey, this is who I am, and let's figure out a time when we can connect and start the service.
Awesome. Sarah, anything you would like to add that I've missed you?
I just really want to thank you for being an ambassador for this for your community, Craig. I think it's a really important conversation. And the more that we can get the word out that there are services out there to support this really important, vital community in Alberta, we're really happy to be a part of that. It's a very important service.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Craig.
That's Sarah Rosenfeld. She's the Associate Director of Counselling Alberta. And it was just a fascinating conversation and the importance of reaching out. So yes, if you are in need of reaching out to someone, please reach out to counsellingalberta.com. There's a phone number you can reach there, as well as a lot of different ways that you can link in and link up with a counselor in regards to talking to someone if you are feeling down in regards to as it's important to do.
Yeah, looking after your mental health in all aspects of your life, whether you're a farmer or whether you're in the ag industry in some capacity, or even if just for your own personal well-being, if you're struggling with something, it's always great to get some help and get some confidential counseling if you need it. There's a lot of services out there that can help. So whether it's stress or burnout or family conflicts or you're just feeling off, don't hesitate to ask for some help. On that note, let's wrap things up for this week. On behalf of Craig Lester, I'm Tim Parent. Thanks for listening to the Rural Roots Canada podcast.